Trixie and Riley, aka Vizier and the Golden Wind, the Void Gazers. Follow me into the void, not to typically avoid. Feelings that you're paranoid of making you into a joint to bury. We carry all your memories and remix your ancestors. Past the future, have a melt in your mouth texture.
Cheese and bread, take your head. Just rush the bed, dodge the fence. A virus spreads, you're not safe, so take the pill. Everyone can see you on the hill, so come into the void.
It's time for another episode of Void Gazers, the variety show that's always something different. And this time, it's sort of an interview, but not an interview I'm giving or that you're giving. Void Gazer Vizzy, who is sitting next to me, looking void-gacious.
Yeah, I'm gonna mostly be gazing into the void this episode because I found myself in an interesting position, like in the universe.
What is that? I need to know more.
I get to watch this conversation between you and someone that you've no doubt inspired, who's like doing much better than you in numbers on YouTube now.
Yeah.
And like the content's tighter, and you know.
Yeah. All right. I got
Whatever.
you. The content's tighter and all that.
This is the best content ever. Is this show right here, and it's even better because of the guests that I get to watch you talk to.
Yes, and I want Oki to go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience of the Void Gazers show.
Yeah, Oki of Oki's Weird Stories. I talk about strange phenomena on my channel. Gay Frogs, John McAfee, Steve Rocco, Terry Tilley. I make like 2 videos a year, and they're all bangers.
They are bangers. I've seen a few of those.
So
I'm gonna watch the rest.
We're doing this as one unedited cut.
Yeah.
This time for Void Gazers, so it's going to be both cameras next to each other, as the audience will already have seen, and that's because Oki, you were saying that we've been accused of like editing our videos to make ourselves look good. So
that's something I saw.
I didn't say that.
In response to an Oki tweet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I never said that.
No, Oki didn't say that. Oki just asked if we edit out, and I was like, we won't edit anything out on this.
Okay.
So,
Bet.
But it will prove to people that we don't feel the need to edit anything people ask us out.
Right.
Whenever you edit, you just edit like for content. You edit quickly.
Yes.
Not a lot of people are as on their feet as we are.
Yeah, no. And I'm usually trying to just cut out like unnecessary silences or awkward moments of people fumbling with their words and stuff. But I think that also having something that's consistent and conversational and not edited has its own kind of appeal, especially with something like this that is, I guess you could almost call this a drama video, right? Like self-sponsored.
Most of our videos.
Let's see. Let's see what happens.
We'll just let Oki explain what he wants to call this video. You know?
Yeah, or even just jump right into what it is, because I assume you're prepared for like what kind of discussion we're trying to have.
Yeah, marginally. Listen. I've been frustrated with the path that Beatrix or Trixie has gone down. At least since maybe. So I don't really have an exact timeline here. But I think it was like early 2020 till now. It's just been a total nosedive. There was a time when Trixie was Digibro. I don't know if I'm not dead naming you or anything when I refer to your past, right?
I like to think of Digibro as a character that I played on the internet. So like, you know, the character that's in those videos was Digibro, so it makes sense to refer to that if you're like talking about the videos.
So then let me tell you how I got into Digibro, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't like an OG or anything. Like I started watching your videos. I think it was like 2016. Like
that's probably the biggest like period of growth I had. So a lot of people came in then.
So that was around the same time that I got back into anime, right? So there was a time in like 2013 that I kind of liked anime, then I stopped liking it, and around that time I was like in 2013 I was watching like shit like Kill la Kill, and I was listening to like Podtaku and watching Giguk videos, and then I came back to anime in 2016. and I was still like I had this feeling about anime where it's like this isn't a medium like you can watch like a movie or you can read a book and you can get these narratives that you just won't get in an anime. I almost like believe that like anime wasn't capable of having that same sort of thing. And then, you know, I was a kid who like I grew up like reading Shonen Jump, like I know you did as well.
Yes.
And reading actually Mega Tokyo.
That was a huge part of what got me into anime on a deeper level, not just because of the comic itself, but the forum that was tied to it. The admins of that were like very hardcore into like the stuff that was getting subtitled and released through torrents. So like I basically discovered like the deeper internet world of anime and got so in depth because of that.
See, I grew up like thinking like looking up to guys like that and thinking it was like really cool. So then like I'm also around your same age, like I'm 29 now. So like growing up, like I looked up to people like that, and then I found you online through your anime is getting lazy with its meta video.
That's a great one.
And I was like, holy shit, like this person gets it.
Right.
And then it was like kind of back to back where like I watched Erased and I was like, this is dog shit. And like you were there and you were like the voice of reason.
Yeah.
And then
with my battle with Jeff through Mother's Basement over Erased. It's just funny that you bring up that story because like I've had friends in my life who like found me the same way. Like it must have just been that it truly was that controversial of a show, Erased. Like the video I made about it before I did like the big podcast with Jeff, I think currently has like a 70% downvote ratio because like it was the most popular and well liked show of the time.
I like it.
But
Who are you?
and like the sort of premise of my video is that like I thought everybody just hated it because I had heard so many negative things about the ending. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna jump on this and be like, yeah, now that everyone hates the show, I can talk about it. And then, but no, people still liked it enough that the video got pretty heavily shit on. But I also got some major fans out of sticking up for my opinion about the show.
That's what. See, okay, so it's kind of like now I'm kind of disappointed to hear that was. See, because I thought you were like going against the grain. I was like, you were this like,
yeah.
But you are like a contrarian, and that's part of your.
To some degree,
your
I mean, I've never gone out of my way with the mindset that like I'm going to have the opposite opinion of everybody. It's more like if I do happen to have that, I will lean in on it. And I had this one video before talking about how like, despite my reputation, all of my favorite anime are extremely popular. They're all shows that are like well beloved, that sold extremely well, that are like worldwide hits. So I consider myself to basically a really pop taste. It's just not it's not all of it. It's like 10% of the stuff that is really popular is stuff I love, and then the other 90% is garbage. And like, you know, I don't think it's wrong to like garbage, and I think that's something that even though I say it a lot in my videos, people really don't like when you talk shit about something they like. It's hard for them to take it. It's hard to not take it personally, you know? And so like I think that I stirred up a lot of ire with people just for like making. There are people who have thanked me for telling them that Sword Art Online is bad and being like, wow, I realized that I like better shows now thanks to you. And then I've had people who are like, how dare you try to like ruin something that I care about for me, you know? So it's an interesting experience.
I do remember like I think eventually you watched Shinseki Yori.
Yeah, Shinsekai Yori is worse than Sword Art Online is the name of it.
And you didn't like it, yeah, and I was like, dude, you know, but because I really like that show. But at the same time, it's like I was so already into the character of Digibro by that point that it really didn't matter what you said or did.
Right.
It was like, you know, I was there to listen to you talk about eating a bagel. And,
yeah,
you know,
that's kind of what I kind of consider that the point. And like, well, so I'm going to be interested to know what you think taint the channel? Because if you were so all in that you're watching the After Dark videos or I'm eating bagels, what was it that ruined the content for you? Like,
well, it became way less personal, and then it became to the point where like the only time like I feel like I would hear like from you, or like I just ended up watching just the rant and wormhole videos, and I was like, okay, well, it's good, but it's not. There's nothing personal to them.
Right.
I feel like you completely lost passion for anime. At one point, you were dropping 7-hour-long videos ranking your top 250 anime.
Right.
And I would watch it like I actually listed some of these videos, like your historical videos, right? Like the Shimbo series, or the great anime director who time forgot, or the
That's
writer
my
who
personal favorite video I've ever made.
The writer who kept anime weird, or also one that I really like is the portrayal of women in anime from 1991.
I'm
and
glad
it's like,
that you've seen that and liked that. That was a weird one because it never became a real video. I just had to like vlog and rant about the idea,
but that was it, man. It was like that was it. Like it was like
Man's fine.
Whenever you like. You, especially when you talked about anime or media, and you made all these connections, and you had this, and like it was clear that you had this deep knowledge, and you had idea of the history of all of it, and I miss listening to that, and you were so passionate at one point, where you really were the human content machine. And you were doing just crazy shit. Like every other week, you would kind of top yourself with something new. And like I really respected and admired your output, especially between like 2016 and 2018. Where it was just every other week you just put something else out, and I was always impressed by what you were doing. And then all of a sudden, like it's just like you kind of stopped caring or something. Like I was even on the Reddit. Like I read when you fucking wrote that fucking light novel and you put it on your Reddit, and you wrote it in like a fucking day. I read some of that. I commented about how I liked the prose. Like I was on your subreddit. I remember one time, like I asked you, I actually asked you a question, and then you answered it in a Q&A video, and it was like that was awesome to me. But then I don't know, it just Do you feel like you lost your passion?
I mean I have to ask, have you listened to my my newer audiobooks, the Kusa Mega ones?
No, I haven't.
Okay, because oh man. For me, a big part of the mismatched passion, I guess, comes from there was a time where I was very passionate about I have all these ideas about anime that I've had for a long time from watching so much of it, and I want to get all those out of my head. And then there was always a sorting process of realizing which ideas I could actually make into videos or couldn't. And years of having just this massive backlog of ideas that I'm trying to, sort into what can be done in what time frame, to keep my career going. And there's a lot of the thinking of I might have to get one video out a week, or how, what will work with YouTube's algorithm? What can I watch in an amount of time that I can do a video about it, because watching the shows takes up a lot of the time of the development of my videos, especially if you're trying to do something broad that talks about a whole genre. And so as I went along, I kind of had different strata in my mind of what I could do. And at around 2018 was when I basically came to a point where I only really wanted to do anime videos if they were going to be big, fully fledged projects. Like, I was bored of the idea of just like trying to watch all the new shows that are relevant and stuff, like I had been doing in 2016, and like just doing a bunch of reviews of shows as they end. I wanted to just like be able to take a step back and work on like bigger videos. But I took too far of a step back, and I ended up trying to work on 3 big videos at the same time in early 2018. And it really this is, I think, the moment that probably is where I fucked up my career in your eyes, because it was like a 3-month gap where I don't think anything came out on the main channel or something like that. Maybe it was just a month and a half, but it was a really bad timing kind of thing where like my content slowed down and I moved. And then my Patreon took a massive hit because of the fact that I hadn't put anything out that month. Yeah. And it was basically like me trying to juggle moving plans as well as working on how they marketed, which the first episode of that did eventually come out. But it was like way after the fact. And I had to like trim out a lot of the conceptual elements that would have led into like it was supposed to be like a 26 episode series. I had just spent so much fucking time planning and conceptualizing this thing that ultimately, because it took so long and I didn't have anything to show for it when I moved to Boston, I had just taken such a financial blow that I totally shifted gears and went like, I have to figure out how I can make something that is like expedient enough to be successful in YouTube's algorithm, and fun to do, and doesn't take so much time that I won't be able to make the videos that I'm passionate about while doing this, you know? So, like, in August 2018, I made a video every day for a month just doing different experimental styles the whole time. And
I remember that.
Yeah, there's a bunch that I really like from that era, but ultimately it seemed like the conclusion I had come to was that people wanted me to make longer videos. Like, the biggest complaint, I just like listened to all kinds of different complaints. I looked at the numbers and everything, and it just seemed like people, because of like the Asterisk Score Sucks and the Sword Art Online videos standing out the most in people's mind, everybody's like, I want that big meaty series where you just like dive into a show and get everything that you can out of it. And I want to do those as well, but like it has to be a case where there is something that sparks me to talk about it, you know? And like, I don't casually watch a lot of bad shows, and there's only certain bad shows that are like bad in a way that I find interesting. The most recent one that I had covered was Arifureta in 2019, and that was in the period where my channel got like really jumbled and like all kinds of stuff was happening. I think some of the videos that I made in that period that were more normal just got overlooked because of the fact that they were getting released alongside weird vloggy content and stuff.
Like
that
the Sebastian Online video.
Yeah, that
totally overlooked.
So
because of
can you
music.
yeah. So I remember there was one point that I got really excited about your content again, where you had this plan to watch like every single anime that's ever come out.
Yeah, that was probably
like,
I think that was in late 2017, early 2018, and that was when No, I know what you're talking about. That was actually even more recent. Yeah, that was 2019. That was in the era I'm talking about, of like just all kinds of jumbled content coming out. Because, again, it was basically a matter of me trying to figure out, like, how can I sustainably have like a video every day, but like have them in enough different styles that everybody is satisfied with. Like, you know, the people who want edited content will get it, the people who want long form rambling stuff, the people who want experimental stuff. Like, the Watching Every Anime Ever series, like May and I did like 2 episodes of that, I think, that actually got edited. But it was just like the amount of effort that it took to make it like a watchable show was not worth the amount of views it got. And so like a lot of the issues that I've had throughout like my career in these last few years have been that like I kept experimenting, trying to find that thing that I could do every day, and every experiment that didn't work I abandoned. So it made it look like just things are constantly changing and flipping, and it's like I'm just trying to
Because they were.
Yeah, they were, exactly. I just was trying to find, and like most recently that would be content. Like the idea of content was this is something we can do on a regular sustainable schedule. It's basically the product of all that, what I'll call research, I guess, or all that experimentation is like, you know, there was Today's Anime, which was a show where it's just like whatever new episodes came out that day I covered, you know. That was hard to keep up with because you had to do a video every single day. Well, content, we were able to record like 3 or 4 of them ahead of time, so you only have to record like every week or two, you know. Just all that experimentation was figuring out what is the sustainable version. So like we've talked about doing a show called Animates that's, you know, similar in concept to content in that it's something that we sit down, watch the show, get the reactions, can do it on a regular enough basis that, you know, that it's a show that people will watch, but it doesn't take so much time to produce that it's not worth having done.
Well, because basically,
Okay, but let's okay, before we get lost in the weeds here, like let's okay. So you sound like really rational about what you're talking about, like right now, but what you've done to your channel, at least in the past year, has been completely irrational.
Okay.
It has, right? So first of all, like you stopped putting your content onto different channels based off of quality. Instead, you just flooded your channel with pretty much everything from, you know, from those other channels.
Right.
And it kind of killed your main channel in doing that. And then most recently, which is like almost a huge slap in the face to a lot of people who like really care about that content. It seems like on a whim you decided to just private all of your videos almost.
that was a whim.
It was not a whim. I've been considering doing that for a long time.
It seemed like a whim.
Yeah.
It did seem like a whim.
It doesn't make sense. Like you must have still been making money from that channel, like a reasonable amount of money. Like,
I mean, I'll say if money was my biggest concern, I certainly wouldn't have made any of the career decisions that I've made. Like,
okay, money aside, but like you know, there's a lot of people who care about that content, and yes, it will be It's being re-uploaded as we speak, slowly, by the way.
Right.
But it's not the same. You know, it's like maybe you had a favorite movie, but it was only on VHS at one point. And you watch that VHS every single day when you were a kid, and all of a sudden you only have a DVD version of it. It's not the same.
Sure.
You know, like you kind of killed history.
I mean, the reality is that tape, every time you watch it, is going to get a little bit more worn, and the history will erase itself. Like,
Fucking metaphors, dude.
I'm just saying, like, I look at all media as being transient. Like, I'm thinking about like the Fox fire that just like destroyed all silent movies, right? Like,
yeah, like lots of early Hollywood. Yeah.
I think we have a tendency to feel very like entitled to having the things we like forever, but it's like if you're not personally putting effort into preserving the things you like, then it's hard for me. I know I'm being like really over the top right now, but like my expectation would be like if people cared enough about the videos being up, they should have kept them there in the first place. And I know there are people who already had massive archives of my content because of the fact that my channel's been taken down like 3 times, you know, like all 3 times I had no idea it was going to come back. So like from my perspective, my channel has always been hyper volatile. It's like, you know, I first lost it at like the start of 2015 and didn't think I'd get it back. Then I lost it at the start of 2017, and then at the start of 2019. You know, like, cross our fingers that we're going to be good this year. But yeah, like, and in my mind, my YouTube channel is also not my career. I had always thought of it as the Patreon, because I lost monetization on YouTube about 2 months into doing it as a career, and and like after having already quit my job and everything. So if not for me having discovered Patreon and becoming successful there, I just wouldn't have had a career on YouTube, because I still didn't have. It took 6 months for me to get monetization back from that, and like I have lots of videos that get demonetized. I had to experiment so heavily with editing to get to a point where I know how to get clips past content ID, you know, like it's kind of standard now, so it seems passe almost, but like people contact me all the time asking like, how do you do that? Because unless somebody has literally told you, you won't know.
Just copyrighted content, but they like you have little tricks in there.
As long as the clips are under 10 seconds, you're almost always good. If it's like a really high,
it's another one of those tricks I learned from you. Actually, I remember you mentioning that in one of your various videos. But here's the real question: why did you do it? Why did you decide to private all your videos?
Mostly because I really want to reset the perception of me that people have, and I've kind of been known for your anime sucks, which is funny because it's always been a tiny percentage of my content. Like, and you know this, you've seen enough stuff that you know, like I did all kinds of variety of things, and whenever I would try to basically the reason I wanted everything to come to the main channel in the first place, the logic for why like After Dark got merged into it and now why Yig Studio is there, is that every single piece of content I make I think deserves an equal chance to be successful with my audience. It's not up to me to decide like what is or isn't going to work, and like I want all of it to be successful. I want people to like all of it. There's stuff that I publish knowing that most people are not going to like in my current audience, but if somebody does and they spread it to the right people, I want it to have the best shot it can at that liftoff. And so like I've made alternate channels. Like I had a music channel called DigiBros Turntable for a while. I ran for like 4 months, was really passionate about, and it just didn't grow. And it was because like it would only get recommended to my own viewers, because the only people who knew about it were my viewers. I was the only one promoting it, and it never clicked with the people who might have like gone and pushed it elsewhere. But if I had just been releasing every video from that channel on my main channel from the start, then there's like a much higher chance that one of them would eventually have caught on with my my audience, because there's just way more eyeballs looking at it.
But you gotta know, like you're a reasonable person, like in a lot of ways. Like you,
Thank you.
I remember you telling even Mother's Basement get rid of, like you were talking shop with him, telling him get rid of that little avatar in your thumbnails because that's not gonna work, right?
Right.
You had strategies and you understood what works on YouTube. It seems like at one point you got to understand that like people aren't there to listen to your music, so even if you put it on your main channel, you're just driving your audience away. Like people don't.
There's a level at which I have to be like, okay, I know people might not want to hear the music, but I've color coded my thumbnails. You don't have to click on don't have to click on the music. Like you really don't. And I understand. Like I have the type of autism where when I see a video in my feed, I feel the need to have clicked on it. Like I get that, especially if it's from a channel that I like. But like I'll even click on it and then just be like, oh, this isn't for me, and then click away. You know, like I don't understand the mentality of people who are like, every single thing that is on this channel has to be for me, because it wouldn't be the case anyways. Like even when I was an anime YouTuber, there was such a huge stratification. Well, I still am an anime YouTuber, but even when that was all I was doing, there was a huge stratification between like, if I talk about a popular show and if I talk about a show that I care about and nobody else does, like it's not even going to reach 1/10 of my audience because it's just not a show anyone cares about. And like people can look at it and say, well, it's still anime, but like they weren't clicking on it in the same way they're not clicking on the music. So
again, you've done two high quality anime analysis videos in the last 2 months. And I mean, one has 14K views, one has like 10 or whatever.
Right, like
8,
9.
I don't know. Yeah. They're not doing like, I mean, it's not like these are 100K videos and the other ones are
but it's because like it's been like people have been bombarded with these videos, and then they stop clicking on it, then they stop getting recommended videos, and the people who have the icon, the bell on to be notified every time you upload a video, they get tired of it because they have it on just to like to watch what they have it clicked on for. So you essentially you pushed away most of your audience. I mean, that's without a doubt what happened here.
I don't mind that. Like that's.
Yeah,
I don't. Well, look, like
I agree with Oki.
It's. I have to get really. It comes from like the core philosophy of how I've done my work. Is that like, I am not trying to be the biggest, most popular, most famous, most richest person. I'm trying to make a living and be able to like buy the things I want by doing whatever I want, as close in proximity to doing whatever I want as possible.
Right.
So like that's my basic life philosophy. I'm not chasing like having a strong YouTube career. I'm chasing like, you know, get to do whatever I want and make money off of it. YouTube is a platform by which I can, you know, do a bunch of things that I want to do and potentially make money off of it. So like with anime, I mean, to even go back before anime analysis, to really get to the core of the YouTube channel itself, I was originally DigiBrony on YouTube, you know? Okay. So I was a Brony YouTuber. I had a couple videos that got a couple hundred views that I just made to like test my microphone because I was planning to be a game analysis YouTuber. I should have just gone that route right from the start, honestly, because I would have been way more successful by this point if I had been one of the like the first big game analysis channels. But instead, I became a My Little Pony YouTuber, and my mentality was, I'll do this for a year, grow a big audience in it, and then switch to games once I'm done with this show, you know, and like I'll bring my whole audience with me. Instead, I did that with anime, but along the way, I experimented a lot with what you could do with the audience, because at first I was not a personality. I was just a voice talking about this show, and I started to grow to the point of having like tens of thousands of subscribers before I started to like inject myself into it and have the After Dark channel and get like a little bit weirder, start doing live streams and stuff like that. Around like when I got 50,000 subs, when I really started to push like myself as a person into the content. And then there came a point during covering the fourth season of that show where I was really frustrated with my audience because of the fact that they would miss a lot of the nuance in the like analytical writing that I did, and be too fixated on like whether or not I liked the episode. Like that was like kind of the takeaway that I was getting from a lot of people. So I switched my style massively and created this like rugged, smoking, like drunken version of my character that stopped talking about whether or not I liked the episodes and only talked about like what personal anecdotes I related to from the show. And doing this, the presentational difference. Wow, presentational, is that a word?
Difference in presentation.
Yeah, the difference in presentation cut my view count like in half, from like 70,000 to 40,000 regular views, but it doubled my Patreon. And like when that happened, I came to the realization, like, oh yeah, well, people were just getting way more out of it who were watching it, you know, like the kids who were just clicking on it to hear someone talk about My Little Pony were like afraid of the presentation, and like just there's nothing to latch onto to like understand if you can't process what I'm fucking talking about, you know? So the people who were like closer to my age and more maybe in my station in life or something, you know, like who could really relate to my stories were that much more interested after that point. So that was where I kind of realized that like there was more money for me in being like a cult person than there was in being like, I know I can't be a pop celebrity because I'm a very strange person, you know? Yeah, I'm weird. And I'm not weird in a way where I don't want to be myself. Like, I think a lot of pop stars are extremely weird people, but
you are cool, and especially like
Thank you.
Something that like also when I was especially really into the After Dark channel, it was like very, very cool. Like, you know, and even still, like, I mean, you're a cool personality, and I am very familiar with like the story about how you transitioned from being a Brony YouTuber and getting into anime, and how the Devu was like the only person who was like watching your anime stuff when you made the initial switch. But like, you got to think like, when you transition from a My Little Pony YouTuber into anime, you weren't anywhere near as successful as you were at your peak when you were doing AniTube. So like, the whole idea of like just like wiping the slate clean and starting from the beginning again, like you did back then.
That's true, but like, so again, to I guess go back, because like when I was a Brony YouTuber, the height I reached was like 75,000 subscribers, I think. And like I said, when I made that one shift in content, it cut the view counts about in half, but still very good. When I shifted to anime, the view counts went down to like 2,000, like barely even scratching that some of the time. And part of it's because like I'm in deep into anime. I was not out to talk about the most mainstream shows. I didn't necessarily know what were the most mainstream shows even, because there wasn't like a huge AniTube scene at the time. So like I was kind of just on a cyberpunk kick and just doing a bunch of cyberpunk shows, and that led me to Sword Art Online. And that video got, within the first week, about 20,000 views. And that was when I started to feel like, okay, there's a shift going on, where like people are into the anime content now. Anime fans are starting to find my channel and listen to, or and watch these anime videos. And even then, it wasn't until Why Good Anime Is Hard to Make. That one got like 75,000 views in the first day because it got posted on Reddit and was really successful there. And that was when, and then there was like What Is Anime and What Isn't, and Sword Art Online Season 2, when I started talking about that. Those videos basically propelled everything else. And it's difficult to explain this to people who aren't YouTubers or haven't been doing it for a long time, but like basically hit videos are kind of all that matters in terms of the success of the rest of your videos, because when a video hits, it like everything around it hits as well. Like the next video you put out is more likely to hit. The last video you put out before the one that hit is more likely to hit.
All your videos end up getting views.
Right.
For sure, yeah.
And basically, if you can keep having videos that are as successful or close to it, like every so often, then it'll keep that engine running. And so I've had various times in my career where I've watched that like start up and run for a little while. So like, those 3 videos I mentioned were a good example, but everything surrounding them got like nothing. Everything around those videos was getting like 2K views, and there was tons of other shit coming out. But like, it took until like 2015 before I started to kind of realize that if I don't talk about the most popular shows, it's just not going to be successful. Like, I put as much work into talking about Psycho-Pass versus Psycho-Pass 2 as I had about SAO, but initially those videos were not successful at all. And luckily they've, later I recut them, re-released them, and they have been successful now. But like, I could say something similar about the Nanoha retrospective, which is still up, which you'll see still doesn't have very big numbers, but was like a huge high-effort series that I probably spent like a month working on. And so I kind of became demoralized around that period, thinking about how like the amount of effort you put into something or your excitement or passion towards it has nothing to do with how successful it's going to be. And a lot of my biggest videos that blew me up, like in 2016, were the more cynical ones. And it's not even that I dislike these videos, but like, for instance, my Konosuba video has like 1 million views, and I basically like just started up this show because I saw that it was becoming popular, like watched 3 episodes and wrote this whole script based on that, and then like watched all the other episodes that were out to make sure that they didn't contradict what I had said. I think there were 8 episodes out at the time. So like, I knew that I was going to put this video out at the perfect moment to capture this show's crest in popularity. That like, anybody in my audience who had seen the show would see it. I knew as soon as it finished it was going to become a big success. So like, that video just kept growing and growing and growing because the show only kept getting more popular. But like, not that I think it doesn't make a good point or anything, but it's like a lazily thrown together video for the sake of like getting another thing out by the end of this month, that month, So like, to me, even if there's like lots of videos that I've made that were passionate, there's also lots that I've made that were more cynical, and the success has always been really dependent on like, what's it about? What is it? What am I presenting here? And at some point I got good at figuring out how you could make the presentation alluring without having to signal what you're actually talking about. Like the great anime director who time forgot. Great title and thumbnail combination to get you to click on a video about a guy no one's ever heard of. If his name was in the title, no success for this video, you know?
That's a good, that's smart.
Yeah, so like, but I don't always want to be talking about things that people care about, and I don't always want to be like, you know, writing scripts that are manipulatively trying to be as popular as they possibly can be. It's like, I do want to follow my passion, and therefore I find myself doing things like making lots of music and making other types of video content and podcasting type stuff. Like,
okay, can I interject real quick here?
Sure.
Earlier you were saying that you want to be able to make enough money to just, you know, live and buy the things that you want and have a fun life, right?
Yeah.
And you know, go with your passion. Do you think that the money's going to keep coming? Like, I mean, from my understanding, your Patreon is also taking a nosedive, and like,
for sure.
I don't know how much you're making off of this new content. Do you see yourself in 3 years making any money from online content?
Oh yeah, I only see myself making more money from this point forward. Like, the way I see it, I am basically in that same phase as when I cut the Brony stuff and switched to the anime stuff, which is why I keep bringing it up. It's like, I'm in that same period of kind of letting people who are not down for whatever I'm trying to do just like decide that they're not down, and then letting people who are into it find it and spread it, you know? And like,
well, No Jumper has millions of subscribers that have never heard of you that would like our new content.
Right, exactly.
Do you really think this would, like, it would, I mean, No Jumper, they have, like, I mean, Trippie Red goes on No Jumper for interviews.
Celebrities like Trippie Red. You know, they created little.
I know, but like that is a steep hill to climb. I mean,
no, yeah, I'm just saying that's kind of the market cap, right? That's like the gig of that internet sphere. Right. There's like the hip hop. There's AnyTube and there's like the hip hop YouTube, and like we're aiming more for being No Jumper than like it. Like, you know, I'm just saying there's a lot to work in there. Again,
I don't
300K subs
you know,
isn't even that many. A lot of people trip over like Beatrice kind of flagrantly getting rid of more success than most people get to get, but it's not like that much success. Like there's a lot of people.
At one point, Beatrix was making $50,000 a year.
Yeah, but the dictionary makes $20,000.
At one point, I was making $85,000.
Yeah, like I mean,
there you go.
So like to me, like I know Dick. We both are friends with Dick. We're friends with a couple millionaires who like make way more money than fucking $85,000. You know what I mean? Like it's just not. I think it has to do more with like different people.
So you guys genuinely believe that what you're doing right now is gonna blow up?
How would you quantify or qualify what we are doing right now? Like what
I don't know what you're doing right now. I don't understand it. The last video that I liked that you did was the one where you were just like, what I'm passionate about right now. I enjoyed that.
That's like pretty much the most. I mean, that was the most recent one until today. I'm glad you liked that.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you think about it? Did that make you feel like, oh, I would be a patron to this person?
I mean, that's a Yig Studio video.
No, it just reminded me of it just was like, oh wow, I remember this person.
Well, but that's the new character.
And you sounded reasonable, and it was like, that. I guess there
are there videos where I sounded super unreasonable, like.
No, it's not necessarily like. Well, I mean, some of
people don't like the
later videos that you've done. I think the whole like the neurotyping thing was a weird divergence.
But the neurotyping thing,
I was confused about that.
Thing has made me so many like interesting connections and friends, and like I understand if you don't like get it or if it's not your thing, but like that's been a huge deal for me. Like as something that's put me in contact with, you know, like just a broad swath of people who can help me to not only like make it even better. There's like a whole fucking community around the neurotyping chart. In fact, there's like a Discord with like hundreds of people in it that like have a podcast and stuff where they keep updating it. Like, you know, and that's that's the kind of thing where like, again, we talk about like being passionate. Like sometimes I might be like watching anime, but all I'm thinking about is this like really big brain idea I've been like churning on all week, you know, that like if it doesn't make it out of my brain, I'm just not gonna be able to think about other things, you know.
You don't look at like the guys on like, I don't know, like the Trash Taste podcast, or you look at like the way that Jeff is doing right now. You don't think that could have been me?
No, because I don't want to. Well, okay. So the way I look at Jeff in particular, like, because I had met him at a point, and I think meeting him is what convinced me I did not want the same thing he wanted. Right. Because when I met him, honestly, it's funny because his mentality is closer to yours, Vizzy, of like, I want to like meet everybody and do things with them.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's not necessarily trying to like set up things for people to do. He just like wants to be in things with people, you know, like. And when I met him, he was just like very, very much about like going to every con, meeting like every YouTuber he's ever, you know, been interested in, like doing a podcast with them, doing something. And I respect that to some degree. But for him, it was all about like chasing the big numbers and the big people and being like, I am a big famous YouTuber. And for me, it was like I found 5 or 6 of my friends, people who were like doing something similar to me that I could work with closely, and like didn't work with anybody else, you know. And that was to my detriment because at this point, like I wish I had more connections, and we're sort of trying to make more of those through this show, like you know, meeting other content creators who maybe aren't doing the same thing as me, but we can have a conversation about the differences in what we do that's interesting, you know? Yeah. But like, yeah, like I guess what I'm trying to say is that like Jeff is somebody who took a extremely industrial approach to being a YouTuber, where he has a team of editors, he has, you know, people helping him write his scripts. They're all like meant to be a certain length that is good for ad revenue. You know, he's going out of his way to watch.
Is this all true or like
this
speculation?
No, I know Jeff.
Okay,
I know how his videos are made.
I was just asking.
No, this is all from him.
Because you know.
This is like he pays a guy to do SEO for him.
Yeah.
Like he has
smart.
There's a team surrounding the engine of Jeff.
I think that's genius, and that would have been a good way for you to go.
I just never found a team that was. He's somebody who, you know, was, because he was so in pursuit of money and in pursuit of connections, he made a lot of money quickly and put it into having that team. You know, like getting the people he needed, because again, he's a business-minded person. He came from working in like e-magazines and stuff, and like his mentality is, I'm gonna be. You know, I'm going to have a whole lot of money and a girlfriend who's famous for being hot, you know, a cosplayer. Like,
so now he sounds like Adam 22.
You know, he lives in $1 million house in Vancouver, you know, like, it's a respectable life to be after. But, like, I'm over here, like, admiring Vantana Row, like a band that's like a married couple that lives in a van and screams over drums, you know, that sound like Death Grips. And I'm like, oh, I wish I could live like that. Like, I'm a hippie, you know?
I lived in a van.
Yeah, well, literally, I want to live in an RV because being at home sucks, and I like going 70 miles down the hour, 70 miles an hour down the highway, you know, just like seeing scenery constantly whiz by as opposed to being stationary.
Stopping at every rest stop.
Well, that was something I got from, so I used to listen to the Decompression Chamber video, podcast. Like, I've listened to all of them, right? A lot of them more than once, and I did get the sense that you were very lonely at the time, and you talked about how all you did was make videos, right? And you didn't really talk to people, and the only time you went out was to get food, right?
Yes.
And then when you had the Devu and Ben Saint living with you, they just kind of hold themselves up in their room and yes, none of you even really talked that much, right? So
it was like
I understand.
We'd hang out and smoke cigarettes together and stuff, But yeah, it definitely was like we didn't. Devu was editing for me, and that was like we was doing it so often that hold on, Devu, who is using she/her pronouns now, just to be clear to everybody, she at the time. Would be editing all the time. So that was what she was doing with me. And then Ben just wasn't working on projects with me. It was just an odd system. It was an odd two people to have moved in because they were the two who ostensibly Devu would be very helpful to have around, but because she was always editing, it's I don't want to take you away from that to do other shit,
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't end up being around each other as much as maybe initially thought.
Well,
sorry, I cut
to the Yig crew. What?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, I'm curious.
We're around each other all the time.
Okay.
I do think that you seem a lot happier now, right?
For sure.
You're pretty much doing. You have friends now that you're doing things with. You're going on adventures. You're enjoying life.
Yeah.
In a way that I think you were deprived of for. Is it fair to say most of your life you've been deprived?
Pretty
of that,
much.
Right?
I mean, I would say that from ages 14 to 21 or so, I was just completely alone in my room, not talking to anybody except for a few close personal friends who, I spent a decent amount of time with, but once I started getting big on the internet, it was just our interests diverged and I totally lost contact with most of my old friends. And it was just all I was interested in was being the human content machine. So I wanted friends who could be that with me. Sure. And in particular friends who could work at the same pace as me, because as you know, I work extremely fast and I hate waiting around for collaborators. I get really antsy. I just want the thing to be done and out, So I think I tried to do a lot more collaborative work in my early days as a Brony YouTuber and just got very fed up with people who weren't, as adamant about cranking stuff out as I was.
Yeah.
And in the anime sphere, there just really wasn't anybody whose content I liked. That was the biggest I never made friends as an anime YouTuber because Jeff was the first anime YouTuber that I had liked enough to want to be friends with, and I don't even think he's necessarily amazing, but
right.
He was the.
Well, I actually spoke to Jeff today.
Oh, really?
I told him that, and he told me you two aren't on speaking terms.
I mean, we would be.
There's. I don't know how he feels.
I like Jeff's videos. I'm a Mother's Basement fan. So if he ever came on VOIDGAZERS, that'd be chill.
I've definitely been mean to him over the years.
Yeah,
so.
Well, Digibro was mean.
It's
I don't
true.
know if you're really going for this new hatchet.
Yeah.
New thing. Just bury the hatchet.
I am not trying to be mean to Jeff.
Try.
I mean
Anymore.
Yeah, anymore. It's I have I don't personally have bad blood with Jeff. I would not blame him if he had bad blood with me.
Right. You were the bully in this situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anything,
you shouldn't have been a bully.
Well, particularly just over the years because it's the kind of thing where it becomes easy to get more and more dismissive of someone if you keep bringing them up as your example. I just because of the fact that
just compare you guys a lot.
Well, yeah, he is kind of my foil in a way, as the person who took the most corporate approach to being an anime YouTuber you could, whereas I took the least corporate approach to being an YouTuber.
Good and profitable.
Well, yeah, sure, that's a part of it. I think that he's not as profitable as Gigguk or the Anime Man, because of the fact that Gigguk, whether I personally like his videos or not, is dedicated to making the best possible video he can.
Yeah.
He puts a ton of shit into his videos in a way that, again, I consider Mother's Basement style to be a factory. The purpose is that content is always coming out so that money is always coming in and he can always go to conventions with his girlfriend. Jeff's always on the move. He's always doing shit. Like, I guess I don't see him as being extremely passionate about making anime YouTube videos. He's passionate about living the life of being an anime YouTuber. And, like, for me, each individual video I make, I want to be something that I am, like, invested in making at that time, you know? For one reason or another. That, like, you know, sometimes it might not be that the reasons I'm invested in making it really translate to the audience, where they might think, like, I don't get what the point of this was. And it's like, well, for me, it did something, you know? But I always hope that the audience will get the point of it and it'll mean something to them, you know? I try not to release things that are so obtuse that I don't think anyone could enjoy it, you know?
But don't you... Okay, but, like, see, we're getting back to it. I mean... Yeah. I mean, you look at the likes, the dislikes ratio. You look at the comments on, especially the you know, the videos for the past, I don't know how many, several months now. Don't you think that you're literally doing that? You are releasing obtuse, self-indulgent content that, especially your audience, doesn't care to watch, right? And I get that you're trying to make a transition, but at the same time, why not just drop the whole anime thing altogether? Why, you know, make analysis videos here and there? Why even do that anymore? Why not just, you know?
I guess because, I mean, I still like making anime analysis videos, and I want to be able to do all the things that I think people could be interested in me doing, and for the most possible people to, you know, potentially be aware of it. So, like, ultimately, that's the theory, the prevailing theory of, like, why the channel is the way it is that, like, I want to be able to make music and know that I gave it the best possible shot it could have at success. I want to know that, like, everything I make, I'm presenting, like, to people and saying, like, hey, look, I'm proud of this. What do you think of it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? And if you don't like it, that's fine. I just think there's a lot of people whose mentality or concern is that they're never going to get what they want again, or that, like, it's so fundamentally different. Like, because if the complaint is really just that, like, there's too much stuff I don't want to see coming through my feed, I would just be like, well, unsubscribe and come back to the channel every once in a while. Like, find out, like,
that's not reasonable, right?
Why not?
Like, because people aren't going to come back.
That used to be how the internet worked. I mean, like,
I know, but the internet doesn't work like that now. We have algorithms. The feed works. Like,
I just know, like, Best Guy Ever doesn't subscribe to channels. He just goes and checks the channels he likes every once in a while.
Well, that's an interesting way of, like, watching YouTube, but I don't think most people do it that way.
I guess I'm not that interested in, like, worrying about the audience who isn't invested enough to try to, like, put some effort into, like, watching the videos, you know? Because to me, art is inherently conversational, and I know that, like, there are people who will scoff at me calling things I do art, especially back when I was, like, mostly doing analysis videos. I consider them an artistic endeavor. You're recontextualizing everything, you know? And, like, for me, the reason, like, I have always been so responsive to my comment section is that I love having a comment section, because it proves to me that people are listening to what I'm saying. And I get frustrated when I feel like they're not, you know? And so for a lot of my career, my videos were propelled by the conversation I'm having with the audience, where I get mad at people for a sentiment, I write a script trying to correct the way people think about that thing, and then I put that out there. And then, you know, the thought germ kind of finds its way through the anime sphere. Like, a big thing I'm responsible for is I made a video called, like, Stop Blaming Budget for Animation Sloppiness.
That was a good video.
And, like, after that point, it became, like, really passé to blame anime or budget for that. Like, it's something that people will comment on your video if you say that, or something that, you know, people will get very adamant and up in arms about it because I made such a big deal about it in the first place, you know? So, like, that's kind of where, you know, my sort of anger towards the anime community, like, and part of it is that, like, I was in a bit of a box where I would perceive something as being like a much bigger deal than it is. That like everybody is saying this thing because I've seen like 5 people say it, but between like my Twitter and my anime list or whatever, and now I'm like, oh, this is a public opinion, so I have to make a video about it. And like sometimes people would be really confused about like why I'm making a video on this subject because they haven't seen the conversation I've been, you know, getting mad about or whatever. But like, you know, that is what's spurred a lot of that back then, and I'm not keeping up with the conversation in that way anymore. Like I don't talk about anime on the internet outside of making videos about it because I don't know, it's not fun. Like it's.
Do you like anime still? Do you like watching?
I love anime. I just like don't. The reason I had to talk about anime on the internet is that I couldn't talk to people in real life. You know, like I was socially awkward. I didn't know how I wanted to present myself in public. You know, like there came a point when in like 2018, you know, I would actually say that the downfall of my content has been the whole 3 years of me trying to figure out how to work with people that I've been in, leading up to now where I'm working with people. And like it's only now that I can be like confident and say like, no, I think this is going to build into what I think it's going to build into, you know, where like I've had all these different like gimmicks or schemes like that I tried to like push. Right now I'm not really trying to push any kind of gimmick or scheme. Like Yig Studio, it has categorized videos. There's not like a set schedule for what comes out when. There's not like a, you know, it's not a gimmick is I guess what I'm trying to say. It's just like a platform by which I could release anything that makes sense to me that I think, you know.
Sure.
How do I put it?
I don't know. I just think of it as like a TV channel. Like,
yeah.
Just point out whatever when we turn it on.
I kind of want to think of it as a magazine because it's like my biggest influence.
It's like a magazine.
Yeah, so I've got to back up for a second because I kind of got lost in the weeds of what I was saying.
If you guys believe in the Yig Studio this much, right? And Beatrix or Trixie, you keep referring to the fact that you're an artist. You don't really care about the money. You don't care about the clicks. Why dilute your main channel with it? Why not just put the faith in having it on a second channel and promoting it?
What would you think should be on the main channel in that case?
I think that you should, if you're not interested in continuing to do analysis videos, I mean, even if like I think you said you were earlier, maybe put a video on it once every 2 months. Like I'm someone who spend like literally I put out 2 videos a year and I don't have issues with the algorithm, right? It's they still, you can look at my channel, I still get views in all of my videos, right? You don't have to constantly put out videos, major analysis videos, but if you could have just left the main Digibro channel the way it was and then do the Yigs.
How would I benefit from that exactly?
Exactly, but you keep talking about how you're an artist and you don't care, but then now you're telling me how do you benefit from that, right? Like
sure. Well, okay.
Put faith in the art that you're putting out, the music that you're putting out. Put it on a second channel. Have a reasonable middle ground where you have your main channel. Maybe you still have your After Dark channel.
How would you categorize what? Okay, so like I'm thinking about this. How, like, what would go on what channels? Like, you'd have to have a channel just for. I mean, I was thinking first of all.
You've done it before. Go put it on the Digi Turntable channel.
Okay, so where would VOIDGAZERS go? Where would this show go?
Go put it on the PCP. I don't know, man. Like, do whatever.
I'm not a member of the PCP anymore.
Okay, so I do know that, by the way. So put it on the After Dark channel. Right? Okay. That's where did you put the podcast you used to do with Mumkey? Wasn't it on the After Dark channel?
Insufferable Social Media Argument. I think that was on Mumkey's channel actually.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But like, just relegate certain things strategically like you used to do. You used to have some sort of understanding of how YouTube.
It wasn't, because none of the videos released on the other channels were successful. That's the problem. Like,
but they're not successful when you even put them on your main channel. You're putting them on your main channel now.
They're more successful though. They get more views than they would have gotten.
Barely. Your After Dark channel used to get like sometimes like 40,000 views. None of these videos that you put out recently, the music or anything, are getting anywhere near those views.
I don't think anything on After Dark would have had 40,000 views in the time frame that these videos have been out for. Like, that's the thing. My videos are all slow growers. Like,
weren't the Patreon, the rant wormhole videos were? I guarantee there were some of them that got 40,000 views.
There were like the biggest ones were around that. There's even some that had more than that eventually. But again, like, none of it was instantaneous.
Yes, even if they grow slowly, I don't know. Like, I think there's a reason why you're getting so much pushback. And the views
there's definitely a reason why I'm getting so much. There's a lot of reasons.
Why do you think you're getting so much pushback?
Okay, my top 5 reasons.
Go ahead.
One, because there are people who were already just like mad and dissatisfied with what I was doing in the first place, and now they're just even more so. 2, being trans. A lot of people not okay with that. 3, having nuked the channel to like just removing most of the videos. 4 would be because I pissed off either Null, Ralph, or Dick's fans.
You did piss off parts of all 3.
Yeah, and
not all of Dick's fans, but like some of them. But all the other 2, yeah.
Yeah, all of Null and Ralph's fans, and some of Dick's fans. And number 5, probably just because they straight up are just mad that I didn't like the show. They like there's still people who are just mad about my opinions.
I think that you're leaving out the biggest part of it, and I'm telling you as someone who, like, I'm always gonna be a fan of yours, right? And I'm telling you, as a fan, the reason that a lot of people are pissed off, a lot of people are giving you shit, is because you've like completely lost the plot with the way that you're handling your YouTube career. What you're putting on the channel.
I guess I don't know what you mean by that. Like, what is the plot? What would be the plot?
It was you had an idea at one point about what works on YouTube.
I still do. I still have ideas about what I think works on YouTube.
But it's different now. You know, it's different now, so you got to consider that it's different. So it's probably bad.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't think it's just that it's different. It's bad. Trixie is someone who is like, you're a different person. You were like, the way I saw you, especially back then, and because you lost I feel like you lost a lot of passion now, but like back then it was like you were the American otaku. You were the guy. You're not guy. It doesn't matter what you. I don't think people even care, right? Yeah. Because like you mentioned earlier, you're trans now. I think people can accept that. Sure, there's a lot of transphobes out there. I personally did not care. I didn't care when you have that infamous clip of you on talking about how you want to fuck lowly girls. I didn't care about any of it. Yeah. I didn't care about any of it. It's like I could accept anything. You go on Destiny
Stream.
You go on Destiny Stream and you fuck up sort of. And I don't care.
I'm confused as to why that's changed. I guess
are so cringy.
It's hard for me to understand the drop off.
The content has changed. The content has changed. What the whole vibe of everything.
I guess it doesn't feel as different to me as it seems to feel to other people. That's like the hardest part for me.
How does it not feel different? You were you were talking mostly about anime at one point, and even when you were doing the rant wormhole stuff, at least that was something. You were still talking about things. Sure. Now you're pushing your music onto people.
Not don't just care my music. There's tons of other stuff being posted to the channel. Like,
okay, fair enough. Your podcast, but even still, it just
anime
doesn't.
Analysis videos. What about those?
there's anime analysis videos that are coming out still.
You've done 2 like recently, right?
But that's as many as you're suggesting she do instead of all the additional stuff. You're saying just do the few of them.
No. You've misunderstood. You've misunderstood what I said. So what my whole thing is, you had the main channel. Right. Keep the main channel as analysis videos. Don't push this like all of your other stuff.
I just don't think that would work. I don't think it would benefit me to keep the main channel analysis videos like that.
Work in what way? Like, what's your goal?
Why don't you just start a new channel? Like,
What would be the benefit of starting a new channel? That's what I don't get.
What's the benefit?
About what element, though?
I don't know.
What's the benefit of putting this content on your main channel?
Thousands of people like it.
There's 320,000 potential people to see it.
Thousands of people do like this content. I know we're speaking in big audience.
You're talking about 3,000 people out of 300
people.
That is a fraction.
Really skewed,
that's fine. That's really fine. No,
that's not an impressive number on YouTube.
We really have to back up and say, I left my job when I had a couple 1,000 views. It isn't. No, you can make so much money off a couple thousand views. Yeah. It depends on how you monetize the content. It's not about
again back to the rap stuff though. The reason that people don't seem to understand. If you get 200 views on your song and you get booked at clubs, you make $700 a night in real life.
Right.
It's not about internet shit either, where you're getting fucked over by advertisers and you don't know how to make money on your own. Just selling merchandise in one night at a club can make you, an extra $400.
Well, and
selling T-shirts.
As a YouTuber,
and you only have to have a couple hundred views to get booked as most. Look, there's lots of people in the entertainment industry, and most of them are not Drake actually.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's scales and stuff. Trixie's killing.
I guess to get into it a bit, with money and with success on YouTube, I really view it as buttons, where you just have to press the button that is, and the button's always right in front of your face, right? So the
get money button, the get more views button.
Here's a couple. I'll give you 2 examples. One for get more views, one for money button. Okay. So in early 2018. I knew that there was going to be a Netflix original series of Devilman Crybaby. Right. And
good show.
I'm a big fan of the Devilman manga. I'm also a big fan of the director Masaaki Yuasa. So as soon as I knew about this show's existence, I was like, I have to cover this. I know enough about it. Regardless of what it ends up being, whether I like it, hate it, it is necessary because I have the knowledge and it's going to be a big deal because it's a Netflix original and it's super violent. So and they were hyping it. So when that came out, I watched it the day it came out all the way through. I talked to people about it. I basically did as much research as I felt was necessary, wrote a script, and probably had a video out within 2 or 3 days. And that video probably got 170,000 views in the long run. I think it got 60K the first week and then, continued to grow. But it was the script of it was fine. I had to rewrite it a few times because of the fact that it was a good anime analysis video about a popular show, but it was not written from a place of passion, as in I found 18 minutes worth of stuff to say about this show and watching it, and I'm gonna spew all that out. It was more I watched this show knowing I was going to be covering it, found as many things as I could say about it as possible, and translated that into a script. And that was the more cynical way that I made a lot of videos that were okay, this is a popular show, I know something about it, I know I could just take some notes, get something done, and it will get views, Yeah. And it does. And that's a totally different kind of project to say the Akiyuki Shinbo in the 90s thing, where I'm deliberately watching everything this director's ever made and trying to match you know, all the similarities and talk about them in like a researched way, that's pure passion project, you know?
Sure.
But that doesn't get nearly the views. Like, even now, those videos are still up. They don't have anywhere close to the views that Devilman Crybaby one had, you know? So, like, to me, the passion... Like, people can tell me that, like, the passion is something they look for in the videos, but it's just never reflected in the view counts. That, like, that me, you know... Yes?
Do you know Kenny Lauderdale?
Yeah.
You know the channel? Like, he just talks about fucking 1980s anime.
Right.
He gets views. He's doing fine.
He does. He has a great gimmick, too. Like, because... And a big part of it is people do like to know what you're doing. And if I had to categorize, like, actually, like, what makes me the most difficult, it's that, like, I don't have, like, an obvious thing that is, like, this is what I do. Kenny Lauderdale is the boomer anime guy. Like, he talks about anime that a certain type of person is going to like, and that type of person will always reliably know what they're getting from his video. He's an old reliable, you know? Like, he's that type of person who has, I
completely disagree. I think that
you don't think so?
No, not about him. I'm saying about you. Like, you had a very strong identity online, at least at one point. You were the Otaku Gonzo journalist. You were this drunken, crazed person at one point.
Yeah, I'm definitely still a Gonzo journalist.
And Otaku.
And Otaku.
Who just talked about and was extremely passionate about it. And, you know, like, you had a very strong identity at one point. I think that along the way...
You know what? But I feel like a lot of people didn't, because... I mean, throughout my career, I've always been dealing with, like, comments about why people are confused, you know?
Well, of course, there's going to be people who are confused, but you had such a core audience that you were making fucking... Like, how much money were you making on Patreon? Think about, like, the amount of people who cared enough to give you that amount of money. And, like,
that gets me into the money buttons thing as well, where, like... so there are certain types of videos that will get you views. Like I talked about the Devilman one. It's a good example of, like, I perfectly knew ahead of time that this would get views, made the video, that happened. The other way is if you present, like, your situation to people. How do I put it? With great power comes great responsibility, right? I realized I had too much power very early into my career when I was able to get people to, like, probably when I was around 50,000 subs in the Brony community, I knew a guy who was going homeless, and I just, like, made a video like, hey, this guy's about to be on the streets tonight. Can anybody, like, help him find a place or give him some money? And by the end of that night, he had, like, $1,000 and a place to stay. And I was like, okay, this is, like, crazy that's a thing that you can just make happen by just telling people, like, here's a target that I need you to do something about it. And I've done this a few times with, like... Well, that's how it feels to me. Like, that's why I don't do this. Right. It's like what I'm trying to say.
Right? Just that, like, any, like, hint that you need money results in you making
or anything. Money. Where, like, one time I was like, hey, my cousin needs an OC pony. Here's, like, the specifications of, like, what it should look like. And I got, like, 70 drawings. And I'm like, well, fuck. This is... Now I know that anytime I need... art, I can just put a statement out there and I'm gonna get 70 fucking drawings, you know? So, like, that realization of power has always kind of haunted me, because it is like, yeah, it's very easy to press that button. You see, like, e-girls do this all the time, right? They just, like, cry on camera and get a bunch of money. And, like, that is a money button. And it's, like... Dude, and that's what a lot of people are doing on the internet. But, like, I've done it by accident, where I had a video called Being a YouTuber is Great. And it was just, like, I woke up in a really salty mood one morning and, like, heard about some, like, YouTuber kid who had committed suicide. And this was, like, right after I had made my JoJo meme video. So I think I was, like, waking up hungover the day after that. And this older anime fan named Mike Dent was, like, talking shit about me flippantly on Twitter, and I was just pissed off and fed up. So I made this, like, 12-minute video just, like, sad with snow behind me, like, ranting about all the depressing things about being a YouTuber. But, like, somebody sent me $1,000 that day, and I gained, like, $600 in Patreon backing. Just because people were like, oh, I realize now that like you are, I don't know, in some kind of need, and I had never just like suggested that I was, you know, like because I was also probably talking about like having financial issues and stuff like that. So like to me, I'm always looking at it as like, if you want to have a video that gets a lot of views, or if you want to make a bunch of money or whatever, you press the buttons that make those things happen. You know, if you want to do whatever you want, then you have to do that and then figure out, like, can I make money off of this? Can I make views off of this? Like, is there a way I can market this that will give it a shot at that? You know, like, if it's not automatic. So, like, let's say I make a song that is not, like, if I was making a song about a super popular, relevant franchise, I know it will get a lot of success, you know? Or if it's like a parody song about anime or something like that, you know? There's a chance that I could have something that would blow up on the channel. And I think like the biggest song release I've done on the main channel is the Shintaro Kago the Guru God video, which has like 80,000 views. It's just an analysis video on an artist, you know, but I'm rapping in it, you know. So like there is a type of music that will work on the channel. There is a type of this and that. But like, you know, when I create something like, say, the song Time Skips, right? It's a weird-ass song. I don't expect most people to like it. But if I were to do what I would have done in, like, 2015, I would have just put it on my SoundCloud and tweeted about it.
Sure.
Because I would have been like, oh, this is weird. My audience isn't going to like it, you know. And then maybe it would have gotten a couple hundred listens if people did really like it, or it would have gotten 12 or 20 and just gotten completely buried, and I would have been sad about it forever, you know. But instead, I found a reason for it to be a video, like found some kind of footage to fit on it and put it out. And even if it has like a huge dislike bar, it's just got way more views than it ever would have had on SoundCloud. And like, even if somebody who hates the song initially hears it, it might get stuck in their head. It might, you know, fuck with them and they come back, or, you know, some lyric sticks with them. So like, I'm not counting on people to always like it the first time. I'm not counting on them to, you know, always keep coming back. I just want that if I make something that I am passionate about, I want it to have the best possible shot it can at reaching someone. And, like, I just think I hamstrung so much of my content over the years by releasing it through sub-channels and all this other stuff, and none of it could grow. Like, the reason I don't have a music career right now is that I sidelined it. I made it a sub-thing. I didn't try to push it on people because people would complain if I did.
Right.
And it's like, well, if I want it to be paid attention to, I have to push it on people until somebody who does like it finds it, you know?
I am someone who thinks if you were doing all your music from, like, the Gay and Dead era on the main channel with music videos, Tano's talking about you, like, you could have had, like, a much bigger impact in the music world. Again, like, to live very comfortably in hip-hop, you just need, like, 10,000 fans.
Yeah, and again, like, to reference that era, like, 2017 summer is when Gay and Dead came out. By that winter was when I made the Digibros Turntable channel. So like, Gay and Dead had like 40,000 views on After Dark. There were a couple music videos that performed decently there, Fat and Dangerous and all that. And so I made a separate channel for the music, you know, for videos about music and for music videos. And again, they just did not perform there. Like, not enough people would go to the other channel. And so like, that was a case where if I had just kept it all... Like,
look, I don't think that I can. I think that you're dead set on what you want to do. You know, like, I've tried. I feel like I've tried
like trying to change the channel back. Like, what did you hope
I'm
to get
trying
out of this,
to reason.
Well, like, what would be the outcome that is reasonable to you?
I've already said it. I don't.
Making an analysis video every couple of months, basically, and
just keep the, you know, unprivate the videos. I
just think that the main channel would inevitably die if I bothered doing that. Like, I
don't
think so.
That shit looked dead.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
you were literally like less than, like, what, 2 years ago. You're one of the biggest Anitubers. So
yeah, but it died way before all the content stuff.
How you could think that it would just die? Like, I think if anything, it would breathe life into a channel that is literally dying.
I mean, it would die as in I would stop doing it. Like, I wouldn't have a purpose to.
If you're not passionate about it, why even try like making even
it's not a matter of passion. It's about what I think would be a sustainable career. Like people are.
This isn't going to be a sustainable career at this point.
I just don't think people are going to pay me to do like one anime analysis video a month.
They were.
They weren't. Though.
They were.
That didn't happen.
Oh.
They paid me to do 4 of them a month, and then when I skipped a month, I lost like $1,000 in patrons. Like,
also
you had one of your biggest spikes on Patreon because you made a video talking about how fucked up your life was in Boston
right.
on your second channel.
Yeah,
that was a huge spike for you, right?
Yes.
That was your core audience. You know,
I agree. So like, I don't see why I wouldn't want those people to watch the main channel.
Right.
What I don't know. Like I can't. I don't think it's possible for me to change your mind on anything. I think that if you're familiar with the career of Michael Jordan, I'm not saying you're like Michael Jordan, but it's similar kind of in a way where he quit basketball to play baseball.
Gambino has a really beautiful line.
No one cared, and people gave him shit for playing baseball.
I don't understand why the channel separation would be so. Just don't watch the music. Just don't watch the music video.
But it doesn't work like that.
They've got to try not to click on the videos. Don't you know? It takes physical work to not watch your videos. V?
Oh my god, you gotta know it doesn't work like that.
I mean, look,
I just don't. I'm not worried about the people who it doesn't like. I don't know.
Oh my
if you can't just skip the music videos, then like I don't know.
Like, I'm dying here. I don't know what to tell you. I'm dead in the water here. I don't have anything to say.
I just as not an internet guy myself, as largely like an IRL people person, these numbers are fucking crazy to most people anyway. Like the really bad
3,000 is nothing on YouTube.
That's not true.
Great in real life.
It is nothing.
Yeah, it's
on
nothing
YouTube.
Financially.
You can't even monetize. You can't even monetize 4,000 views. You can't. You can't.
Okay, hold on. At a venue for hundreds of dollars. Off
that video I'm talking about that like I spiked my Patreon off of, like that only probably had that many views when it came out.
Because that was your core. Like
that's what I'm saying though. I'm only really intent on engaging the core viewers
right now. Okay, the chorest.
But you pushed them all away. Let's look at your Patreon. What happened recently? Oh shit, my fucking phone. Hold on.
No worries. Core viewers weren't pushed away though.
I mean, some of them certainly are.
They are. Then they weren't core viewers. That doesn't make sense.
That's fair.
I get what he's saying, but I think it's very like based on how
internet
numbers.
I just don't think any of it's that different from how it's ever been. Yeah. Like people.
Well, no, your channel is like obviously like less popular than ever. Like your channel is less popular. You're getting less views.
That's not true. It's not less popular than ever.
Well, okay, whatever. It's less popular than it has been in a long time.
Yeah.
But it's also not like. I don't know. It's just not that dead. Like I don't know. You look at PewDiePie. He's got his subscriber count, and then the amount of millions of viewers he gets.
Right.
Like lots of channels are very fucking dead. You have to look at ratios and metrics. You can't look at view counts. That's really.
It's not how it works.
What do you mean that's not how it works?
It's not how it works. You know what happened is now you're when Trixie switched from My Little Pony to anime to AniTube. There was already an AniTube community. There was already.
That's not really true, though. There really wasn't. Like I didn't grow through that.
There was. There was
Giguk and Podtaku and Arcana. But it wasn't there was no cohesion. It wasn't like the same people were watching everything. I think that the idea of like modern AniTube really came about when around when Jeff showed up and like when. A lot more copycat YouTubers started appearing, but like most of those were short-lived, and like I would even say now there's not really an AniTube the way that there had been, where like there's not like a community effort.
I mean, so there's niches, right? So if you review anime or if you review movies, like so, I kind of see like AniTube, the way it eventually became, it was kind of like it was like almost an offshoot of that guy with the glasses, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, just like people, they were kind of nerdy and they were just talking about media in their rooms.
Yeah.
And people kind of like that, right? So you had like guys like Glass Reflections, right?
Yeah.
And that was the thing. You look up any kind of anime, you look up a review, you'd probably get him. He would be like one of the first people in like 2012 or whatever.
Right.
Yes. Then I kind of see you and Jeff and a lot of other people as like kind of like the second class that came after.
Right.
Second
generation.
It's the second generation that came after, especially the Podtaku stuff.
Yeah.
But there was already an established thing. But what you're trying to do now, there's no established
what do you mean by
framework
that?
to work. Like there's nothing you can't.
There's lots of variety channels.
Who's looking this stuff up? Who's gonna like, you know, when you talk about a specific piece of media, there's already going to be an inbuilt.
But I still do
audience.
that. I still do talk about specific pieces of media.
Okay, so I don't know what to tell you. See,
well,
like,
but what do you mean? That's a fair response, Oki. She does still do the anime thing. She just does other things on top of that. I don't know how that can hurt the channel.
I mean, I know how it can hurt it, and that there are some people like. Okay, I'll tell you about. There's a channel called Previously Recorded that existed for a while. That was Red Letter Media's gaming channel, and it was Jack Packard and Rich Evans, and like they would release one heavily edited, like, you know, half in the bag style, like, game discussion every month or so.
Yeah.
But in between that, they would release like live stream recordings almost every fucking day, and the channel consistently sat around like 50,000 subscribers. And like the live stream recordings would get like a couple thousand views a piece, and then the major videos would get, you know, tens of thousands, possibly 100,000, whatever, like type of views.
Sure.
And I do think that the fact that they released all those live streams on the channel did hurt it to some degree, and that people who just got sick of the flood of live stream recordings would not subscribe.
Sure.
But every video that they made was about
to have subscribers.
Right. Well, and I'll get into it. Every video that they made was about a popular video game, right? So like they didn't need to have subscribers. Like the videos were getting more views than the subscriber base because ultimately they were successful because they were getting posted places or getting searched for because they're about the game, like you said. So like the people who are subscribed either because they are willing to not click on all of the videos they don't want to see, or they do want to see the live streams. You know, if you are not willing, if you're not in one of those two categories, you're just not going to subscribe to this channel. But that wasn't hurting the ability for the videos that were about games to get the views that they were getting, regardless of, you know, the views of the other things around them, because again, they were about a popular thing.
Is Oki not there?
Oh.
Dropped him.
Did he say anything in the chat?
He just said DC'd. Okay, as DC'd. I want to get a resolution.
Yeah.
He said, let's finish this up. Yeah. Yeah. I want to get a resolution. I guess I think, like, there's lots of getting off into the weeds going on.
Okay.
Yo.
Like, yeah, there you go. You're back. Because, like, the point that you seem to have is just more that, like what you have done has tanked the channel. And that's...
The channel's dead.
True.
Yeah. I don't think the channel's dead. I think it's, like, in a period of regrowth at the moment.
I mean...
I think that's very optimistic thinking.
Look, I wish I could... We've had conversations that we've signed NDAs about with people that absolutely know what they're talking about. and you have given us a course of action, and we have been taking it. And nobody will know for a year and a half. Like, so conversations like this suck because ultimately nothing Trixie says matters about, like, you know, her past content habits and view counts and all this and that. We have a road to a massive success that we can't use to justify what we're doing.
It's also a difficult thing to talk about because, like, I keep referencing my history and stuff because I'm trying to give as many examples of how I arrived at the thinking I do as possible, but it really is, like, just tons and tons of experience of doing this for so long that, like, I see it as, like, these buttons that you can press to make the things you want to happen, and I am somebody who will, in a flight of passion and fancy, go off in the weeds and make something like that. Again, time skip I reference because that's something where I just like had an idea, threw it together really fast, and released it because I just liked this idea and wanted it out there. And that kind of thing really has no effect here or there. Like, if it doesn't get clicked on, it doesn't get clicked on. I don't usually lose subscribers over something like that. Right. You know, if this is the 10th music video someone saw and they didn't like it and they went, I'm unsubscribing because I've seen 10 music videos I don't like, that's fine. That person was going to unsubscribe eventually. You know? But, like, if those people who really don't want to see music videos all unsubscribe, then at some point those dislikes will go away. Those comments will go away. People who like the videos will be the ones watching it. Now,
there's
maybe
lots
those
of new audiences that we're going to introduce to the channel by collabs, by working on shows in real life.
And there's no reason after, like, so I guess the way I would put it is, like, if I had, let's say I have, like, I'm trying to think of, like, a metaphor, but I don't want to make it too fucking obtuse and get lost in the weeds. Just basically, like, there's 360,000, or right now it's 320,000, but there had been at one point 360,000 people.
You've lost
potentially
40K in, what, like a year?
Something like
subs?
that. Like,
I mean, that's a lot. That's cool, though. That's more subs lost than most people ever get.
And
maybe
it's
I'm a
taken.
Optimist,
I mean, it's taken that long because I've actually lost way more subs than that, but I've gained a ton too.
Sure.
Like, my turnover rate is crazy. Like,
there's a new anime fan born every year.
Yeah.
You know, they all look up anime eventually.
And an anime fan dies every second.
Yeah,
like, there's always new people cycling in, or old people cycling out, people who just don't like this style of content anymore, all that kind of stuff. Like, there's tons and tons of reasons to get in and out of a YouTuber and their content.
I get why Oki isn't engaged with it anymore. I get that. But
I think Oki's not engaged with it anymore because he's not watching enough of the videos.
That doesn't matter. Who cares?
I think that it's not just me who's not engaged with it anymore. I think
there's
it's
a lot of people who
the majority
watching enough of the videos.
Of your old audience isn't engaged with it.
Okay, that's a really entitled opinion. That is an entitled opinion that everybody
I think that the
metrics.
I think that the metrics reflect.
I'm not
I think
saying they
the
should
metrics
have.
reflect what I'm saying here.
No, you're not wrong about the channel.
No, I guess what I'm asking though, like,
Trixie's having a bad go at, like, I think not explaining the metrics stuff because he's just right about the metrics. So it doesn't matter why.
What do you mean? Like, which metrics are you talking about?
They're just bad, right? Like, he is right about that.
You think the metrics are bad?
The views are bad. Yeah, I think the metrics are bad.
I just don't agree with you. Like, compared to previous videos I've made that exist. Again, everyone has a totally different perspective from me because they've only seen my videos in retrospect. Where, like, you can look at it and say, this is 100,000 views. And I go, like, that's a 10,000 view video to me. Like, because I watched it take years to hit that point. You know, like...
Yeah, I can't relate to... I don't understand any of that.
The view counts...
I mean, all my videos are slow-growing videos, but I wouldn't want to tank my channel.
It's, I would want to do that. I would want to take my channel.
Well, I mean, clearly.
Yeah, that looks like that's...
I guess it's I mean, I wouldn't expect... It's not the kind of decision I'd expect anyone else to have made, but no one else would have made the type of content I was making in the first place. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, you are a very original person. Without a doubt.
Original as fuck, dude. Original.
I mean, very, very, very much.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I'm giving you a really hard time. Let me just say something really nice to you here. And I genuinely mean it. Like, at least at one point, you were, to me, kind of like the voice of certain generation of people who grew up with anime, especially around our age.
I still think I am the voice of that, by the way. I think I am the absolute voice of the American otaku generation.
I mean, that's if you want to brand, if you ever want to write like a biography about yourself or something, call it the American otaku, because that's you fulfilled that role beautifully.
Thank you.
So, and with all due respect, I was, and I don't know if I am as big a fan anymore, but at one point especially, was obsessed with your content. I watched every single thing that you put out, and I think I'm frustrated, and a lot of people are as well.
I guess I'd ask, what type of content do you want to come out? Like, what would you be the most excited to click on if it came out tomorrow?
Well, like I told you earlier, I always liked when you talked about especially the history of anime, and you like the videos I mentioned earlier.
Those are my favorite types too, like the history, the director anime forgot, or something like that.
The ones I left up because they're
like that. Yeah, those were always like, that was you. Yeah, those are the videos that I liked, and especially just like you're just talking about anime or talking about things that you're passionate. I actually got into Shinsei Kamati-chan. I don't even know how to say it properly.
Yeah,
because you mentioned them, and I think it's Tsusume. I can't even say the fucking.
Tsumane.
Yeah. There you go. I love that album, and I love a lot of the stuff that they put out, and you were the one who mentioned them. Mars Volta, a lot of stuff that you talked about at the time, and you were talking about things every fucking day, and you never shut up.
Yeah,
that was the beauty of you.
I guess that's the biggest difference, right? Is that I just don't.
Well, we just spent
you don't do that anymore.
18 videos, and we didn't tell anyone what we were doing, so people think we filmed one 3-minute Twitter video.
It's true.
Like, we filmed 18 videos.
Right.
The last 2 weeks, just various things. It's
going to be exciting for all this to come out.
But I also got to say that I do think that they did belong on the After Dark channel, right?
Yeah.
It had its own ethos, and that was kind of like if you were interested enough, that's what you eventually found, and I think you did grow a very strong community, especially there. And I love the After Dark channel. That was my shit.
Yeah.
The main channel, I still watched every fucking thing that you put out on the main channel.
So wait, if you were watching everything I was putting out on After Dark, like, were you listening to the music back then?
Here and there, but it was like, so I didn't really watch the Let's Plays, and I did, like, the music was like, it was kind of like, oh, Digi does music with his brother, and that was just something. It was kind of cool to me, and it was like, all right. I remember one time
you feel differently about it now versus then.
Because now that's all you're doing.
That's not true, though. There's so much other stuff. What about the little lectures? What about the like people movies? What about the talking about tapes and everything?
Right. So there was a period, especially like a couple months ago, where it was like every single day the only thing that you put out was music. I think
I think this a lot. It looks like we're only doing music, and you'll always argue like, no, we're doing a lot of stuff, and I'm like, it's really just music.
I mean,
so I share Oki's opinion.
There's a point at which it comes to look like that, I guess. If you're like,
well, what we'll do is we'll make a full album movie, and then we'll put out 2 or 3 singles from the full album movie to promote it. Then we'll put out the full album movie, and then people are like, oh, this is 5 music videos, but like, it's 4. And really, it's not like it's one music video cut and uploaded differently, but that's like how music tends to be done.
I just don't get it, because in my mind, it's like there was never been a point where the main channel was uploading faster than 4 videos a month. Like, there were times where I might have pulled like 6 or 7 out of my ass, like if I was really hauling ass, or the 2 times I did like a video a day all month, right?
I think what it comes down to is people are fine with 4 or 2 videos on the main. They just wanted only the anime videos on the main channel, and you to have all your other stuff somewhere else for people who want to find it to find it. you simply don't want there to be that one-click barrier. You want everyone to see everything you have to offer all the time.
Exactly.
If they don't like it, to leave.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. Like at one point, I remember you had a playlist with over like it had like 2,000 videos.
It's still there.
Thousands of
and that was that. You know, that was fine. Just you have that, and I remember looking at that and like going through the videos and.
Sure.
I remember,
I'm not
you know, the last...
interested in making it easier for people who aren't willing to go deeper. That's really what it comes down to. It's like, it never benefited me in my mind because basically I gave less of an opportunity to everything else I was doing by putting it behind that barrier and only really giving the full opportunity to one type of content that I already know people want. And, like, while that... it works to some extent in, like, keeping that channel... you know, consistent and like keeping people happy. People have never been happy with what I'm doing. So like, it's really hard for me to get into the mindset of like, oh, there was a golden age where like you were really doing the right thing. People were bitching at me constantly every time forever.
There's always going to be people bitching at you. That's the reality of making content on the internet. But you did have a golden age.
I want to point out
in the eyes of other people,
with
maybe.
This new era, though, we've got the kind of fans who like just send us cameras because we were talking about it. We've got the kind of fans who are going to hook us up with like, you know, sneakers before they're out. We've got the kind of people talking to us now who, I don't know, they're not like kids watching anime.
It's just a very different career I'm trying to have.
Yeah,
like,
it's just.
So do that. So that's fine.
Well, to talk about it a little bit more, because you were talking about the Patreon and the financials and stuff, and like, I don't like. So the whole time I was doing YouTube and Patreon, I've been bitching about them. I've been constantly of the mindset that, like, I hate these platforms and I want to be doing anything else. And, like, after YouTube took my channel down in 2015, I stopped considering myself a YouTuber at all. I was like, I'll release my videos wherever I can, and my Patreon is what pays me. And if I can find alternate platforms to that, too, I'll take them, you know? I never really took ad deals or anything like that because it's really hard to find stuff that I actually want to advertise.
Sure.
But, like, the main way I've made money is by having people who just like what I'm doing enough to pay me directly. And those are the people I'm always trying to answer to before anyone else because they're the ones paying me. So, like, whatever ratio they want is... it's very difficult to determine because, like, initially... the Patreon was just for anime videos. It was for a per video basis. I switched it to monthly in 2016 when I was doing like tons and tons of vlogs, and people appreciated that. So it seemed to me like most of the people paying me through Patreon were people who were watching After Dark, who didn't necessarily care if like what I was talking about. They just wanted to see everything.
Sure.
And the main channel had videos that could get a lot more views and they catch on with like Reddit or whatever and like get, you know, more views in the anime sphere. And that can make me more money through ad revenue. But ultimately my view counts have never been consistently high enough for ad revenue to be like a real, you know, like basis of my job.
So you make hundreds on Substack a month.
Yes. So like
just writing, it's basically your videos without all the extra production effort.
Exactly. And like so
people always just use the Patreon.
I've got Substack now. I've got, you know, well, and the ad revenue was also like broken between multiple channels, so I had lots of different ways of collecting ad revenue. And a lot of people also look at like a big video and think this is hard to explain, but like when I was doing the rants, like I made more money on ad rev through rants than anything else just because there were so many of them that even if each one only got like 2,000 to 8,000 views, if there's 50 rants, that's a ton of views in the end.
Suddenly,
you know?
80,000 views.
Right.
If you post 10 of those, they do 8. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. So like, there's tons of weird ways that I've been able to make money through my career. I sometimes will do a live stream and just make a few $100s that night because of like maybe if I'm doing a raffle or something like that. Rant requests.
Yeah, I don't know.
And like you said, like right now I'm making lots of connections, which gets me different kinds of stuff. Like a huge help in my transition and wardrobe transition is like having made friends who bought me just a ton of clothes, you know? And like...
we hang out with rich people. I don't like
poor
people.
Like, what I'm trying to do is so much more obscure than what I was trying to do before. And even what I was trying to do before was obscure, because like the idea of making your whole career through Patreon was something I had to really explain to people when asked, you know. But what I'm trying to do now is basically just like figure out every single step of the way through life, like how can I benefit myself in this situation? Like, what do I want to do today that will, like, who can I meet that will, you know, that will help me in this or that way? And so, like, rather than being in pursuit of, like, a linear goal of, like, I'm trying to make more money on YouTube or get more views, like, my goals are just a lot more sporadic than that, you know? Like, meet people, make things, have adventures, like... Make stuff copyrighted.
Okay. Listen, I think we should, I think I don't really have anything else to say, really, other than, I suppose my last question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I see myself as the head of a studio with like a bigger component to it. Like, either I don't know where it's going to be, or if we'll still just be like in an RV or whatever, you know, because like short term, what I want to do is be a traveling studio where we kind of did the test run version of this over the last 2 weeks. Going to different people's houses and just like having a bunch of equipment, making stuff with them, and then, you know, in like the time that they have, and then moving on. And like,
well, we got paid like decent money for jobs we planned to just try to do.
Right.
Like we were gonna do for free. Like we ended up getting paid, not trying to get paid.
Right.
So that's good.
Yeah. So like, moving around constantly and like working with different people is one part of the goal, but like, I also want to sort of have my own like one-piece crew of just like the core people who can help me do the things I want to do. Like, I took a lot of influence from a Denzel Curry song called Automatic, where he talks about how all of his people are running shit like it was magic. And like, that's where I want to be at, is in a place where basically I can wake up and be like, what do I feel creative to do today? If I have an idea for an article, I can write the article. If I have an idea for a video, I can gather the people together to make that video and make it. And like, I want it to be in a place where, you know, there's enough people working on like filming, editing, you know, promoting and everything that it feels automatic, that like it does, there's no teeth pulling in trying to get any part of that process done. You know, it's just like moving through the inspiration as it comes. And so one part of that is the format of how it's released, you know, which has always been a tooth pulling process for me, because again, like, I might make a rap song and go, well, I know most of my audience won't care about this, so am I going to release it on a sub platform where I know it doesn't even have a chance of getting more hits? Or am I going to release it on, you know, the main channel where people who don't like it might be upset, but there's more people who like it are going to find it, you know, and it has more of a chance of either blowing up or at the very least drawing people more in and more into this type of content that I do. And like, I always described my content as having like a pipeline where I would make videos about popular shows to get people interested in my channel in the first place. Then they watch my more obscure show content and they really start to like marinate in that. Then they find out about my personal stuff. And that's when it's like, okay, now I'm just watching everything you do because I'm interested in you as a person. Sure. And like, to me, making everything be on the main channel is just decreasing the length of that pipeline, you know? And it might make it a little bit harder to hook in new people who, like, come in off of either, say, a song or an anime video or whatever, and they see that there's a bunch of other stuff that isn't the exact same as that. But there's also, like, a color-coded system and a bunch of playlists, and it's like you can find your way to the things you're interested in. And, like, if you are that much of a fan, I would expect you to be willing to do that. Like, it might be a little bit foreboding to people who don't care, but my expectation isn't for you to not care. My expectation is that if you made it past video 1, you are ready to engage, you know? And like, I just don't have like respect for like that the sort of entitlement on the part of consumers to feel like everything has to be made in the way that's most convenient for them. If I did want it to be that way, none of the content would be the way it is. You know, like the videos wouldn't be written in such a complex and dense way. I wouldn't use so many big words. I wouldn't talk about high-minded concepts. I wouldn't, you know, try to only approach like anime I consider to be great or worth talking about. It would be schlock. It would be SEO relevance. Here's what everybody's talking about, so I'm going to talking about it too, you know? And like, to me, if you're at all removed from doing like the obvious route, then you might as well fucking just do whatever, because you're already not trying to make the most money you possibly can or have the most success you possibly can. So what are you trying to do? And again, in my case, it's make enough money / like have enough connections to always be able to do things that I want to do. You know, and
okay. It sounds like you have an idea, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
I hope we win you over, man. We gotta do more content together in like a.
Oh, that'd be fun. Maybe next time we don't have like a like an argument or whatever.
I mean, about, so the thing is, you're right. You're right, but like Trixie doesn't seem to care about the stuff you're right about. Right?
Yeah, well, it's like a different perspective thing where, like, I understand why, from the perspective of, like, a YouTuber who's thinking about, like, I want to grow a channel, I want to make money, like, these seem like ass-backwards decisions, and it's like, well, I do want to make, especially because I do want growth and money, and so it's like, well, there's an obvious route to growth and money, and it's like, yeah, but I don't want to take that route. I want to take this other route, you know?
Cared about growth and money, I wouldn't put out videos like every 5 months.
Right.
My videos are not about growth and money, but I also understand why people watch my channel, which I genuinely don't think you understand.
It's not that I don't understand it. It's that I just want different. Like if you're,
I just want to change it.
Yeah,
I want different viewers.
Well, and again, that's literally what happened when I went from Brony to anime. It was just like I just straight up. Most of my people just stopped watching unless they were willing to make that transition with me. And like there were people like Devu who had never watched anime, but because of the fact that I started talking about it, they took an interest. I don't see why that can't happen with hip hop or with any of the other things I'm doing that people might take an interest in. And like I believe in the quality of the content. Like that's the biggest part of it for me, is that like I look at this stuff and I go, I know this is good. I know someone will like this. Maybe it's not, you know, one of the people who's going to click on this video today. But if I stand by the content, it needs to exist because it needs to have that chance. And, like, I don't know what's going to happen. I've had videos that were some of my biggest that were not successful when they came out. And then 6 months later just suddenly had a huge spike and went crazy. And, like, I don't want to limit any of it from having the potential to do that, you know?
Look, Tech 9
okay, well, you like again. I wish you the best of luck.
Sorry. What'd you say?
I gotta go. I gotta piss like crazy.
No, dude, you're good. You could have done that anytime. Sorry, man.
Should I just go pee and then I'm just gonna go pee, all right?
Yeah, dude, go ahead.
Is that all right?
Yeah, I'm only cutting
out
stuff you told me to cut, and it's like nobody really is watching them. There's not this like miraculous view count research. Look,
no, I mean, but
at the end of the day, the only thing anyone wants to watch is us fighting Ethan Ralph, and I can make 8 more of those videos. But that got 36,000.
No, that was a circus. That's not what people want to watch.
People literally want a circus.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that of course it's gonna get views
but
because
that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
people literally want that, and I could, you know,
don't just want that.
Some people. The Sangatsu no Lion video didn't get views. The K-On video.
How many views did that get?
Sangatsu no Lion is about 8 to 9,000. K-On's up to 14,000. The little lectures are both hovering around like 10, 15.
10, yeah.
And then you got.
And then how much did the Ethan Ralph fight video?
36K. Yeah, 37.
So that's not even like okay. So
it's pretty nice.
Is that substantially more than the K-On video?
Yes.
Really?
In my mind,
by half. Like I mean, by 100%. Like it's.
Well, it's just that the Ethan Ralph video is a video I guarantee will have 100,000 views by the end of the year, and the K-On video I can't.
Hating Ralph forever. Yeah. Like we get to cash in on that always.
Right.
But anyway.
But you don't.
No,
just,
I
don't know. That is just.
I think Spider-Man and Elsa videos are the best way to make money on YouTube, and if you're not willing to do that, then everything else is a LARP. Like, you're pretending you want to do this.
Right. Well,
that's my personal opinion.
That's kind of what I was saying with, like...
Spider-Man and Elsa videos.
I feel like I was very lucky, like, throughout 2016 and 17, that, like, I was able to find enough things to talk about to keep having videos coming out, but it was, like, always a hugely stressful process.
Yeah.
It was never, like...
Even when Devu was helping you with the editing?
Yeah, because, well, the hardest part of making my videos is having ideas, by far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to have a thing that you want to talk about that's worth talking about. And, like, again, this is why I have such disdain for, like, the SEO method, is that, like, it necessitates you to find something to say about everything, and I hate that. I think what ruined me for that style is probably PBS Idea Channel, which is a show that I initially found interesting, but I think everybody who does this style of video has, like, a gamut of things that they preloaded want to talk about before they even go into it, and then the process of doing it, you learn about new things, and you figure out more things you want to talk about, and then at some point you've talked about everything that you had planned, and now you have to come up with new things to talk about. And if you are, you know, again, doing, like, whatever's relevant right now, then it's just a matter of watch new thing, find opinion about it. I really struggle with that. I'm really bad at, like, faking an opinion or finding a way to have something to say about something if I don't care. And you can see this in, like, Content, you know, which I was doing for the last year, where, like, we tried to only talk about the most popular shows, but sometimes we had to just drop one early because it's like, I can't summon the energy to talk about this. There's not enough to say, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, and I found myself constantly, like, at the mercy of anime itself, that, like, if nothing comes out that I want to talk about, I just don't get any views, you know? Like, if the only things that are popular are shows that I hate and I have a contrarian opinion, I'm just going to have to deal with being controversial this season, you know?
Right.
And so, like, it was always really difficult for me to have a thing to talk about that's going to, you know, that's going to be fulfilling for me to do and for the audience to see. And I never could consistently do it. Like, I would make maybe one video a month that did get some success, and then 3 that had, like, a little tiny bit, you know, that were really for the patrons. And or because I'm, again, passionate about the subject. But I did exhaust, like, a big bulk of what I was, like, particularly interested in doing and talking about. Sometimes I start up a series thinking it's going to be fun, and then, like, 4 or 5 videos in, I'm like, I don't want to do this series, actually. It sucks, you know, and stuff like that. So, or will be more work than it's worth. Like, for instance, the Shinbo series. People will often ask me, like, will you ever continue this? It was such a good project. And, like, I might be able to rethink the way that I was approaching it to be able to do more. But the reason I never did is that the next video I wanted to do would have required me to watch, like, 20 complete shows, a lot of which I didn't want to watch. And it's just like, I don't know if I can muster the energy to, like, watch all these fucking shows. And will it be worth it? Like, will talking about this actually turn out a view count that will have supported me for that time? And, like, you know, the answer has come so many different ways over the years that, like, I don't know how to predict what videos are going to be successful or are going to make me money or whatever. Like, there's some degree to which I can say, like, oh, there's an obvious one. But, again, I only like doing the obvious ones when I'm passionate about them.
I get it. Lucky, I feel your frustration there, and I empathize with a lot of what you just said there. So, I mean, what you got to do what makes you happy at the end of the day. The end of the day, right? But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Yeah, I think that there's a certain amount of you have something that's working, and then you just be responsible, and you just do it, and because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and why throw it away? But we've been through this.
Yeah,
you're a hippie, like you said.
Yeah.
So I don't really have anything to tell you here. It's your life.
That might be the biggest thing. It's just that I'm a hippie. That like
you just don't
it sounds like it.
You just don't get like Well, it's like if anything could happen, we could all just die tomorrow. So you don't want to spend a day doing an anime video you don't like.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it's all or nothing.
I know, but
like
it's like
I don't think that's.
Man, I've had 2 friends die in 2 years. Like sometimes it's the last time.
Well, and I have a lot of ideas about like what I consider to be my personal rock bottom.
Sure.
You know, like about where I could fuck up in ways that would make me upset. And right now, I'm avoiding that. Like, right now I'm in a period of doing things that make me feel good about myself. Sure. You know, whereas, like, the era of the constant vlog that people remember... Like, I still consider myself a human content machine because I'm still fucking working all the time. I just don't put stuff out as often because I'm trying to make every project something that, like, has some thought and intent and editing put into it. Whereas, like... During that era, it literally was a coping mechanism for being alone. You know, like, I had nothing better to do but sit in my room and, like, the After Dark channel and the constant vlogs came as a result of having lots of ideas that I didn't know how to make into scripts. And so it was like, well, if I can't write it, at least I can get the idea out of my head. And so, again, it's kind of that thing where at some point I ran out. And then it became, well, I've gotten addicted to, like, putting out videos all the time. So when I was with May, we just continued doing that, even though, like, now we were looking for things to talk about, so it was a lot more hit and miss. You don't know if, like, what you're watching is a waste of time, if you're going to really get a good conversation out of it, because it's not as premeditated. And so, you know, I think that's what lessened that type of content to people is that, yeah, I had just kind of exhausted the really big brain shit that I had been thinking about, you know, and Devu once made a great point in a video called Analysis is not a faucet. It's not something that you can just, like, turn a crank and have a bunch of things to say. You have to, like, encounter something. And I also like to compare life to a spiral that's always going further out because, like, so if I just, like, picked up my keyboard and described it, right, it's the closest thing to me. It takes no time and effort. I just pick up and describe it. But, like, if I kept doing that to everything around me in my room, eventually I have to walk, like, farther and farther away or, you know, like, yeah, so when I got to a point where I'd covered so many of the ideas I had, it's like I have to have way more experiences across a way larger time frame to have something interesting to say, you know? Like, it might take me... a year before I realize whatever research project I've secretly been on in the back of my mind and then, like, you know, can come forward with that and be like, this is the whole new thing. And, like, I guess I just always count on myself to have ideas going forward, to, like, have a reason that have something interesting to say that someone will be interested in. And, like, I feel it's a shame that I'm in a period right now where the only people I can show my work to reasonably are people who might not who might, like, violently reject its existence, you know? Like, it might be that I have a song that I like and I'd love it if someone else might like it, but most of the people who I'm able to show it to are going to hate it, and that's a depressing, like, feeling. But, like, I just think about, well, what if I did have an audience who loved music and was down for it, and this same song came out, and, like, it did get the positive reception I hoped for. Like, how do I create that scenario other than by just simply continuing to do it until it happens? You know what I mean?
All of this is meaningless because YouTube's bad. That's my take.
Well, that is the take that I think we should.
We were in a town.
That is the most beautiful
Nevada,
thing.
We were in a town in the middle of nowhere with no hip hop scene. And we were at 2 sold out, 170 person, 190 person shows. 90 people at a $25 show is $2,200 bucks. Like, why do you need ad rev? If you just build something in a local area, become a local celebrity instead of an internet celebrity now.
Yeah.
You know, if we just, like, picked any town on the map and spent all of our time working at the local art scene and talking to people and making cool videos and not giving a shit about the numbers really. I think we'd impact meaningful change in small art communities. That's what I most think will go right for us. But I know that, like, you know, B does all the content planning and stuff. So she has a bunch of plans. But I think the hip-hop stuff, that's what I was going to do anyway. And a big part of our relationship is, like, she never knew anyone who could get her into stuff like that.
Right.
But you've rapped for rappers. You've rapped on stage now. People dig your shit.
Yeah.
I think I can help you find that audience over time. Oki's totally right about the channel and everything. And I just think you have a different intent now than to be, like, on top of AnyTube.
Right.
So.
Embrace that as well. By the way, my Adobe Edition, I think it's crashed.
That's okay. We have your side recorded, right?
Yeah, we have your side recorded.
Oh, okay, sick. All right.
Okay, legendary.
That's good.
But yeah, if you guys want to do any closing thoughts here. Just like one sentence.
What I want to do is replicate Trixie somehow. Time travel her back to 2016. And keep them in an incubator or like hyperbolic time chamber,
right,
where they just make random wild rants every day at my own, just for me.
See,
so
I get that.
That's what I want.
I get that too.
I realize that Trixie is a person. That
Right.
Trixie has grown, has changed.
Well, and it seemed like you enjoyed the things I'm passionate about video.
I did. I really did, actually. I watched
more stuff like that.
I definitely will be making more videos like that. And it was because, like, I had a disagreement with someone on Twitter where, like, pretty much I came to the conclusion that that video is precisely what they wanted. That, like, there was a subset of the audience that wanted, like, specifically, like, a 45-minute vlog about me talking passionately.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's totally reasonable. That is something that I get that people liked about what I did, that I haven't done in a long time, that I can do more of. But it was a matter of, like, formatting it in a way that makes sense, you know, and, like, a way that would be fun for me to do. Because I don't want to be sitting around losing my mind in a room full of anime posters alone person. But, like...
Look, no anime posters behind us right now.
Yeah,
Free.
I'll tell you something. My little cousin, he's he's like 10 years younger than me. And one time, like, we're hanging out, and I didn't know even watched your stuff, but he was like, I can listen to, at the time you were Digi, I can listen to Digi talk about anything.
Yeah.
You know?
A lot of people tell me that, but they don't. That doesn't turn out in the numbers.
Well, we'll just keep talking about stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Talk about tapes. We'll talk with Oki about your career failings. We'll talk with Kino about movies. We'll talk with whoever we can get on the show, you know?
Oh, by the way, watch the Kino cast.
Yes, beautiful.
We might have a big celebrity guest sometime soon.
Oh, beautiful. Haven't you just had big celebrity guests?
Yes, but we might have someone who's pretty close to the A-list.
Exciting.
That's really cool.
So, stay tuned for that. The KinoCast, best podcast ever made.
I gotta find a reason to be on the KinoCast. Let me know when you guys talk about an anime.
KinoCast. You know what we should talk about? We should talk about this is a movie that actually Hideaki Anno. Sorry, I don't know. I always fuck up words. Anyway, movie that we should talk about, Love and Pop.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be fun.
I love that movie.
Cool.
So,
what are your other plugs?
Oh yeah, Oki's Weird Stories on YouTube. Best YouTube channel ever made. Like I said, KinoCast, best podcast ever made.
Oh, yeah.
OKI, spelled out phonetically on Twitter. You can find it on my YouTube channel. Best Twitter account ever made.
Pretty good one.
Yeah, just like everything I've done, it's the best thing ever made. So, yeah, just check out everything I've done. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Incredible.
Goodbye.
Thanks for watching another Yig Studio movie. Our crew is always on the go, so we're always leading up to some kind of event. The next place you can catch us is at the show on screen right now, so check it out if you want to see what we've got going on in person.